Hey guys, Charlie Murphy here. Thank you for choosing my video. I'm playing a session of 2-5 no limit on ignition. Upper left hand table, get a 2.5x open from the button. I will defend about the bottom of a defense range there from the big blind with king 8 offsuit, and I'll check range on the flop. In position player checks back, so I'm going to go ahead and start probing using the small size here, planning to follow through on the river for the most part. Got called. Don't want to show down king high, so I am going to go ahead and put in a bluff. Follow through with that second bet on the river. Quickly snaps me off with the queen. I don't mind his play at all, though. Upper left-hand table, open fours on the button, using about a 44% range. Get re-raised small by a player that I think is kind of fishy already based on some pre-flop limping action I've seen. Against that small size on the button, I'm pretty sure that I just want to be calling all my pairs, including fours, looking to hit a set in the 3-bet pot. Lower right-hand table, got a 3x open, blind on blind. I will defend for a call with 10-7 suited. Now, he goes and he bets a pretty hefty size. I think I can go ahead and exploitably fold against the larger size against a recreational type player. Face a small size in the blind bat on the lower right-hand table. I don't have anything in the way of back doors, though, so I'm just going to go ahead and lay it down. Tough board for me to have defenses on other than ace-x or pocket twos. Guess I can float with all my backdoor flush draws. Upper right-hand table, got a min-raise for middle position. I'm in the small blind with ace-10 suited. I'm going to go ahead and 3-bet using about a 9% range here. Yeah, I got one through. Upper right-hand table, get a min-raise from a 30-blind player, then a cold call from a 60-blind player, and the cutoff. I'm in the button with aces, going to go ahead and put in my squeeze. Squeeze bigger with the extra than I would for a 3-bet with the extra player in there. Go ahead and pop it up to about 45. Lower left-hand table, going to 3-bet the small blind against the button 3x open, using about a 15% range there. Upper right-hand table, the aces, the calling player calls the 3-bet, then leads into me 20 into 100. I'm just going to go ahead and flat that in position on that nice scary board, or nice dry board with nothing that really scares me too much. And he goes and he bets 25 into 150 now. I'll go ahead and keep calling, look to put the raise in on the river. Now he does it for half pot. I'm really not that worried about him backing into a spade flush here, having trip fives. I think I want to, if he's got a king or even a hand like king queen, maybe even a 7, he's not going anywhere. I'm going to go ahead and just put the sky all in, try to take the rest of the money. He quickly calls off and quickly mucks, just about as fast as he calls. And I pick up a decent little pot there. He had king queen, so he turned to counter, or he rivered a counterfeit 2 pair. Upper left-hand table, going to go ahead and open 6-5 suited, blind down blind, using about a 45% range. Lower right-hand table, going to open Ace-4 suited under the gun, using an 18% range. Looks like I got some pretty good tables here. Getting called in position by a 50 blind stack. Get overcalled in the small blind by a 30 blind stack. Upper left-hand table, going to open King-7 suited on the button using a 44% range. Upper right-hand table, got a 3x open from the middle position player. I'm in the big blind. A little rusty, but I think I'll go ahead and call that. Should be near the bottom of my range. Now, up here with the Ace-4 suited, I checked range on the King-9-4 multi-way with the guy in position to me. Upper right-hand table, when he checks back, I'll start probing. I won't range bet upper left-hand table multi-way. I am going to go ahead and call this small bet 10 into 67 with that 4. Another 4 or an ace, I got a hand I can start going ham with. I'm not going to surrender 6 high over here. Going to go ahead and continue bluffing at it with my busted gut shot. Played his ace all right, if you ask me. Lower left-hand table, going to open Ace-5 suited on the button. Upper left-hand table, going to go ahead and start stabbing now that everyone checked to me twice. I do have a gut shot and an overcard, so this is not completely unreasonable. I'm going to go ahead and continuation bet on the lower left-hand table on the Queen 10-3 against the big blind player in position. We get 15 into 76. I got to call 15 into 106. I'm ahead going to go ahead and call, looking to hit something that improves my hand. Don't get it. I'll just try to show this down or surrender it. Oh, and he made the straight and doesn't get paid when we all check through. Upper left-hand table, my gut shot busted. I'm going to go ahead and bluff my king high here for a larger size. I did thin the ranks with that small turn bet, go from 2 players to 1. Now that we're heads up, I will no longer be using the small bet automatically. I'll use a 2/3 type sizing instead. The recreational player had ace-6 in that hand that he was betting small with for no reason. I'll go ahead and stab small now on the turn with my trips. And I got that one through. Raise middle position, upper right-hand table with ace-5 suited using a 21% range. Get called by the big blind. I'll go ahead and range bet small on the Queen 10-3 rainbow after he checks, and he insta-folds. I think this guy might be a wreck that just happened to stack up there real fast. Lower left-hand table, got a 3x open on the button. I'm going to go ahead and put in a 3-bet from the big blind with 8-6 suited. 3-betting about 15% here. About the bottom of my 3-betting range in this particular situation. Could go either way. Against the 4-bet, I will instantly fold. Lower right-hand table, going to open 8s in middle position using a 21% range. Lower right-hand table, going to open Ace-4 suited under the gun using an 18% range. Get called by a couple of half-stack recreational type players and then squeezed from the button. I guess I could have some hands that I would that I could 4-bet small and fold against the jam. If I 4-bet a hand like Ace Queen offsuit as a bluff, and these guys jam, I just have to call off with it. I think I would have a 4-bet small range here. Ace 4 suited would not be in it, but I think I'd 4-bet small queens plus Ace King, and Ace Queen offsuit to fold to this guy, but call off everything against the short stacks. Just because I have myself priced in at that point. And plus, who knows? I'm probably no worse than a flip, or maybe even ahead of the range for whatever these guys would back jam. I get a 4x 3-bet from the small blind. The upper right-hand table, just go ahead and fold the ace-jack. Lower left-hand table, open king 10 on the button using a 44% range. Quickly called by the big blind. Going to go ahead and put in the small range bet on the ace-8 deuce rainbow board. I'll check in from the big blind against the limper and the small blind completer, upper right-hand table. Okay, we turn a gut shot. I want to bet some bum and check some bum. I would probably prioritize betting the king 10s that have a spade blocker. I guess if I've got jack 10, that's also a double gutter, so I can be betting those. I definitely don't need to be betting all my king 10s. I'll check this one back and look to bluff raise the river, or value bet if I happen to peel my jack. Upper left-hand table, just going to start stabbing at it when everyone checks around on the flop. Lower right-hand table, going to go ahead and 3-bet the 2.5x button open from the small blind with ace-jack. 3-betting about 15% in this spot. Now he overbets into me. Against that sizing, I've got no choice to go ahead and fold. Can't be bluff raising there. I might bluff catch if I had something I could bluff catch with. Lower right-hand table, get called on the 3-bet. Got a king, jack 6, two-tone board. Go ahead and range bet small. Upper left-hand table, open king 9 from the button using a 44% range. Against that 3-bet, though, I'll quickly fold a hand like king 9 offsuit. Games seem pretty good right now, except for this table here in the lower left, so I'm going to shuffle that one out. Got a recreational player right here, a couple recs over here, some short stacks, probably rec players on that table as well, so 3 out of 4 ain't bad. Upper left-hand table, I'm going to open jack 10 suited from the cutoff using a 28% range. Upper left-hand table, going to open 10-9 suited under the gun using an 18% range. Three X open from from the cutoff rather. I'm sorry, on the upper right-hand table. It's probably about the bottom of a defense range here from the big blind. I'll go ahead and defend for a call. Check range to the in-position player. I don't really have many nutty hands on that board, but I might have check raised if he bet small just with my backdoors. I'm going to go ahead and start probing the turn small after he checks back the flop. He calls. Got to follow through, so I will. I don't think it's going to work, but I'm definitely not showing down my jack high. Upper left-hand table, going to open ace-3 blind on blind using a 45% range. I'm going to check range on that 9-8-4 monotone board. I do have the relevant ace of diamonds in my hand. Upper right hand table, going to open king 10 suited from the button, use a 28% range. Go ahead and check call this on the flop. There's the gin card, the 7 of diamonds, giving me the nut non-straight flush. He goes ahead and checks back. Going to go ahead and put in, let's see, I guess I probably want to trap with the flop flushes with 2 diamonds in my hand and lead with the ace of flush with only 1 as it blocks less calls. So I'll go ahead and lead using a pot-sized bet on the 4 flush runout. Lower right-hand table, going to 3-bet the blind on blind open with king 10 suited. 3-betting about 17-18% in this spot. Upper right-hand table, that multi-way flop, I checked range to the in-position player. It checks through. A turn of queen of hearts giving me a gut shot to go with my overcard. I'm going to start probing at this turn small. Lower right-hand table, the player called the 3-bet out of position and checks on the flop. I'm going to go ahead and range bet small. I do have overcards and a backdoor flush draw to help bail me out. But we don't need them as we take it down on the flop instead. Now, my probe gets raised by an in-position player that's probably not that bluffy. I'm just going to go ahead and fold my gut shot. Lower right-hand table, blind on blind, going to open 7s using a 45% range. Lower right-hand table, going to open king 10 from the button using a 44% range. Lower right-hand table, going to open deuces for middle position using a 21% range. Probably not solver approved, but it probably isn't going to hurt me too bad, and I like having potential sets in my range on essentially all boards. I got, essentially min raise, 2x raise from 1250 to 25 by a presumably fishy short stack type player. Yeah, the implied odds definitely justify a call here for such a small pre-flop price. So I will call and I will check range on the flop, hoping to hit that third deuce. I didn't, so I can just check fold, but I think that's a very reasonable thing to do when you face that small pre-flop 3-bet. Especially since he's also telling you with the short stack and that funky bet size and that he's not a good player, so you're going to be able to definitely make money back post-flop, even if the pre-flop call is kind of questionable. But for that price, that pre-flop call is not questionable at all. Lower right-hand table, got a 2.5x open from the button. I'm going to go ahead and 3-bet from the small blind with ace-6 suited. 3-betting all my suited aces in this particular formation using about a 15% range. I do have a full table here to fill up that fourth slot. See how it looks once we get a few orbits under our belt. Upper lower right hand table, got a 3x open under the gun. I'm going to go ahead and 3-bet from the button with King Queen offsuit, using about an 8% range here. King Queen offsuit, probably one of the worst hands in my 3-bet range. Probably the weakest hand I'm 3-betting here. 3-betting King Queen, Ace King. Against the 4-bet, I can go ahead and quickly fold. Pocket nines are better. Ace 5 suited. Most of my suited broadways. Upper right-hand table, recreational player limps under the gun. I will isolate from middle position with something like my under the gun range, about 18%, including Queen 9 suited. Get limp called. We get a 6-6-3 two-tone board. We're going to go ahead and range bet him small and expect to get a lot of folds on a board like that. Lower right-hand table, I open Ace 3 suited under the gun, using about an 18% range. Wow, interesting spot here. I think I can put in a cold 4-bet here. I'm going to stack off Queens plus Ace King. Now against this half-pot bet, I think I'm going to go ahead and bluff raise this guy. I can have some Ace X here, and he instantly folds, so wasn't too bad a play. Going to go ahead and defend the 3x blind on blind open here with Jack 8 suited in the lower right-hand table. My cold 4-bet got called. I get an Ace 6 deuce two-tone board. Going to go ahead and range bet small. And I'm going to go ahead and float the lower right-hand table with the backdoor straight and flush draws against that small size. Hope he doesn't have Ace King that just chickened out pre-flop. Otherwise, I feel pretty good about that spot. Now, he barrels again. This time he overbets, but now that I've picked up the flush draw, I just don't see how I can possibly go anywhere. Now, he checks. I've got no choice but to turn this into bluff. I hope he's just surrendering on a bluff of his, but we'll find out in a minute. Lower left-hand table, going to open King-Jack from middle position using a 21% range. I could conceivably have all kinds of King X in my range that play this way, so it's not completely terrible. He check raises me out of my seat, though, and teaches me a lesson about floating the flop. Although I still think my play is fine, I just have to fold. Upper right-hand table, get a 3x open under the gun. I am going to go ahead and 3-bet out of the small blind with Ace-Queen suited. Only 3-betting about 6% here. It's a pretty tight formation with a large size under the gun. Blind battle, lower right-hand table, open Ace-7 using about a 45% range. Upper right-hand table, open King-10 on the button using the 44% range. Upper left-hand table, open 9s, blind on blind using the 45% range. Lower right-hand table, you'll open Ace-5 suited on the button using the 44% range. Got about a 2.5x, 2.4x open lower right-hand table from the cutoff. I will defend for a call with Jack 8 suited. Upper right-hand table, going to open the deuces from the cutoff using the 28% range. And the blind battle with the 9s, I faced that 3-bet from the big blind player, the imposition player. I think if I just want to call this or 4-bet and get it in. I think we can 4-bet this and get this in. Actually, we're a little bit deeper. I'm just going to call. Pretty close, though. Large 3-bet here in the cutoff from the big blind. With pocket deuces, I will go ahead and fold for that size. He bets 35 into 86. That's about 40%. I will check call. Upper right-hand table, going to open queens in middle position, use a 21% range. He checks back. I'm going to go ahead and check my nines again. I think they're a little thin to try to get value, but I could probably bluff catch here if he stabs the river. He had ace-king. In that blind battle where I got check raised, I'm very curious what he had. If he had a boat, I think he played it very well, especially if it was king-queen or pocket queens, because he doesn't block the bluffs, doesn't block the straight draws or backdoor flush draws that I floated the flop with. And he blocks the calls very hard. I hope that's what he did. If that's what he did, I think he played it well. Upper left-hand table, going to open queen 8 suited from the cutoff using a 28% range. Get a really small 3-bet, but I don't really have the kind of hand I want to be calling with at the same time. I'll go ahead and I think I'm going to fold this. It's probably a little too loose to defend even against that small size, but it's close. Min raise under the gun, lower right-hand table from middle position. I will 3-bet my ace-queen offsuit. 3-betting about 9% in this spot. Lower left-hand table, get a 2.4x open from the cutoff. Going to go ahead and 3-bet the pocket 10s. 3-betting about 10% in that spot. Suited broadways, ace-queen plus, h+, 9x suited, ace-5 suited. Against the 4-bet here, I think I can fold the ace-queen. I feel like I've been getting 4-bet a lot this session. I don't want to read too much into that. Upper right-hand table, got a recreational player limps. I will isolate from the cutoff using something like my middle position range, about 21%, including king 10 offsuit. Flop gin, queen jack 9 rainbow. He checks to me. I'll go ahead and put in my small range bet. Get a 3.5x open from middle position on the upper Upper left-hand table. Going to go ahead and put in the 3-bet on the big blind with ace-queen. 3-betting about 8% here. Quickly calls. We get a 10-9-3 rainbow flop. Going to go ahead and range bet him small. Now, against that raise, given that I think this guy is probably a recreational player, I think he raises too much, but he probably also calls off when I reship too much. If I had something like, Jack, Queen Jack, a nice open-ended draw, I would ship it in anyway. Or I would just ship it in pretty thin for value. Ace Queen, I'm not going to ship. Against an aggressive reg type player, terrible by him to raise that hand in that spot and then show it on top there. Against a reg who's aggressive, I might reship pretty light. Maybe not quite as light as Ace Queen. Ace Queen, no backdoor flush draw. But I'm very suspicious about that raise in the 3-bet pot from a reg because it just doesn't make a lot of sense to do. He really shouldn't have raised there at all either as a fish, but fish do silly things, and I think he's a fish, so. That flop play was pretty fishy, at least that's for damn sure. He should not be raising that hand there. That hand is super nutted and not very vulnerable. To defend 10-7 offsuit against this 3x open here, blind down blind, just outside of defense range for me. Hit a 2.5x open from the cutoff. I'm going to go ahead and 3-bet from the button with ace-king suited on the upper left-hand table. 3-betting about 10% in that spot. Calls the 3-bet, checks to me on the 10-7-7 rainbow board. I will go ahead and put in that small range bet. Calls. Turn is the queen. Queen of clubs. Now, I've got 2 overcards, a gut shot, and real good removal to the best possible queens. I think this is a spot where I'm just going to want to go ahead and barrel off. Like you said, it's a pretty good line to barrel off, and mid pairs are going to be put in a lot of trouble like this, even hands like Jack 10. Plus, I've got overcards and a gut shot. He shouldn't have that much 7x or quad 7s. I think it's a pretty good play to start barreling there. Upper left-hand table, middle position opens 3x. I will 3-bet from the cutoff with pocket 9s. 3-betting about 9% in that spot. 9 is probably my worst pair I'm 3-betting. Lower right-hand table, I check to the flop. He checks back. I'll go ahead and stab the turn small. He quickly calls. I think I'd rather try to get a thin mergey bet in here and hope he calls with something goofy as opposed to check and snap off a bluff. He could have a lot of ace-x there. I guess this is probably pretty close, and my 10's not that good. I'm going to just check it and try to get a free showdown. And against that 4-bet over here with the pocket 9s, I think 9s are too weak to call the 4-bet. Go ahead and fold them. He had pocket 5s. Who knows? Maybe he would have heroed me. I'm rusty. I'm not sure. Get a 3x open from that volatile fishy type player on the upper left-hand table. I've got ace-jack in the cutoff, so I will go ahead and defend that for a call. I'll check range to the in-position player. I do have a gut shot. He checks back. I turn the gut shot with the king. I'm going to go ahead and probe the turn small like I do with all kinds of hands in this spot. Hope he's volatile and raises me, which he does, and gives me a chance to put in a re-raise. The nuts here against a guy like this, especially with that small raise, I don't dare want to call and give him a chance to just check back the river for such a small, cheap amount. Just going to go ahead and 3-bet him. Mash the pot button. He quickly calls. Not the best turn, the 2 of clubs, but I still want to value bet him, so I'm going to go ahead and not get crazy and jam for 2x pot or anything like that, but I am going to bet 2/3. And he quickly folds. At least I got my value on the turn while the getting was good. Feels like that's my first river bet I get through. Not literally the first, but I'm not getting many through, and that's when I've got a monster hand. C'est la vie. Upper left-hand table, open 9-7 suited, blind on blind, using a 45% range. Lower right-hand table, open king-queen offsuit, and the cutoff using a 28% range. Called by a short stack big blind player on a king 10-10 flop. He checks to me. I'll go ahead and range bet small. Mostly checking the turn, actually, here. I think I'd be going bet with my 10x type hands. I think I want to check back and induce or under-rep my hand and get value on the river. Against this 3-bet, I can actually defend blind on blind because it's such a loose formation. I'm going to go ahead and try to get value on the river now with my king-queen on the lower right-hand table. He bets about 1/3. I'm going to go ahead and check call with my top pair of 9s. He checks back. I'm just going to go ahead and check and try to show my 9 down. I believe that's the guy who had ace-king and didn't bluff the river with it. Just let me take the showdown. And he again let me take a showdown. Oh, he had king-8, so he actually had some showdown value that time. Blind on blind with 10-6 suited. I will defend that 3x open in the lower right-hand table. He bets small, a 1/4 pot. I'm going to float with my backdoor flush draw. Upper left-hand table, I'm going to open King Queen from the middle position using the 21% range. Lower right-hand table versus second barrel, having not picked up any equity, I'll just get out the way, even against that small second barrel. Mid, any pair is ace high, any kind of draw, those are still coming along. But my 10 high, no draw, I think I can get out of the way. Get 3-bet by that volatile player, but I don't need to be defending out of position with a hand that's as potentially troublesome as an offsuit King Queen. So I'll just fold even against a volatile rec. Going to open Ace Queen suited under the gun on the upper left-hand table using an 18% range. Going to open Queens in middle position on the upper right-hand table using a 21% range. Volatile rec player on the upper left-hand table, again, 3-bets me, this time a little bit even smaller. And I've got Ace-Queen suited, a prime hand to go ahead and defend 3-bets with, even out of position. So I will go ahead and come along for a call this time and check to him. That's a nice flop for me. Upper right-hand tab, can go ahead and range bet small up my overpair on the 9-7-5 board. And he goes and he bets about 2/3. I don't think I get nearly as many folds against that as I need to. And Ace-King is a legitimate part of his range, as is Jacks. I'm going to go ahead and, because this guy is spazzy and will give me a chance to get paid later, I think as well, I'm going to go ahead and check call and not check raise my big draw. Great turn. Now I'm just going to go for it and try to put his Ace-King in a bad spot. If he has Jacks or quads, congratulations. The deck smacked him in the forehead. But let's see. He clicks it back. We're going to get a chance to get this in and just hope we're not running into a cooler. Eight ten. There we go. Lower right-hand table, going to open Queen Jack suited from the cutoff using a 28% range. Lower left-hand table, going to open Queen Deuce suited blind on blind using a 45% range. Oh, and that's the end of our friend, unfortunately. So I guess we can close up shop at this table. I'll wait and see if maybe it's him just embarrassed. Quickly filling back in. Upper right-hand table, going to go ahead and open King Queen from middle position using a 21% range. I'm going to check call the low end of the open-ended straight draw here on the blind battle. Lower right-hand table, 3x open in a blind battle. I will defend for a call with 6-5 offsuit. Against that second barrel, I'm just going to go ahead and fold my straight draw here. Playing a little bit passively, but I think I'm going to have so much 6x or flush draws I could check raise. I don't need to be check raising my 2x. It isn't really as good an open ender as you might think, just because the 6 gives you the ignorant end of the straight. Lower right-hand table, going to stab against the flop check in the blind battle. Also going to shuffle that table out. This guy's been smacking me around every chance he gets and then some, and the player I was targeting has left without me getting the chance to do anything to him, so I think it's time to go. Lower left-hand table, going to open 10s on the button using a 44% range. Upper left-hand table, going to 3-bet from the button with Jack-10 suited against the cutoff 3x open. That formation against that size, let me 3-betting about 12%. Lower right-hand table, open King-8 from the button using the 44% range. It's right around the bottom of my range. I would raise King-8, fold King-7 in most cases. Upper right-hand table, open Ace-5 suited using the 44% range from the button. It's the 3-bet on the lower right-hand table. I'll get out of the way. Upper right-hand table, get a Queen-3 deuce, two-tone board. Going to go ahead and range bet small. I do have a gut shot and an overcard. Lower right-hand table, 2.5x open from my buddy that's smacking me around every which way. I'm not giving up, though. Going to go ahead and 3-bet him here with Ace-5 suited, using about an 11% range in this spot. Upper right-hand table where I peeled the ace as opposed to the 4, so I've got a fairly weak top pair. I think this is a good card to check back. I want to have some 4x and 5x in both my betting range and check back range, so the check back ones are going to be the ones that have showdown value for the most part, like a marginal ace. Happy to check this back and get value on the river or induce a bluff. Lower right-hand table, get cold called in position with a 3-bet. Going to go ahead and range bet small against the one guy. He leads into me for half pot. I've got the ace. Just going to go ahead and call that. And he had trip deuces, but that's just fine. Now, when I get raised here by the in-position player, I don't give that a ton of credence, but this is a bit different spot with the cold call pre-flop, which does indicate some fishiness, or at least a condensed range around mid-pairs and broadways. I don't know that he would actually do this with the lock-type hand, like 7x or 9s full, but he might be doing it with an overpair. And I also just don't have much to bail me out if I start playing back at the guy, so I'm gonna roll over for these table yet again. They're going to miss me when I leave in a couple of hands, that's for sure. Table probably breaks when I leave. I have to go ahead and give myself a fish tag, too. Lower right-hand table, got a 2.5x open from the button. I'm in my big blind. Going to go ahead and 3-bet him with my 10-8 suited. One of the weaker hands in my range, but 3-betting 14-15% in this situation. So you want to have a smattering of suited connectors and suited gappers in there, too. To go with your, big pairs, Broadway, suited Broadway type hands. He calls on that Jack-10-7 board. I think that's probably supposed to be more of a range check than range bet. And I've got a real good hand for checking. I'm just going to go ahead and range check as opposed to betting in the spot. Upper right-hand table, 2.5x open from the cutoff. I will go ahead and defend for a call with 9-6 suited. Now he checks back the turn. I'm going to go ahead and probe at him small. With no real equity and only the weakest of backdoor draws, I'll just go ahead and surrender my 9-6. I think I actually can get value from a hand like pocket 9s. I just want to go ahead and continue betting here. I don't know. I guess I'm betting into the Jack X that checked back some portion of the time. Although a hand like King Queen or Ace High type stuff might also bet. I don't know. It's close. I'll check it instead. Problem is it gives him a chance to bluff me then in a size I can't necessarily call. He probably just tried to show down a hand like Ace Queen. Oh, Ace 3. Okay, so he had a weak pair. Go ahead and open ace-10 from the button on the lower left-hand table using the 44% range. Open queen-8 suited would have broke down to be heads up here from the button. I'm going to go ahead and range bet against the big blind. Range bet him small on the ace-10 deuce two-tone board. I do have some backdoor draws here. So the jack of spades would be the best card for me. Upper left-hand table, I'm going to go ahead and open aces on the button using the 44% range. Lower left-hand table, going to open nines from what's effectively the cutoff here with the other guys having just sat down and not being dealt in, using a 28% range. Called by the big blind, get a jack 8-4 rainbow board. We'll go ahead and range bet small. Be playing overbet or check on this board. Be overbetting my sets, so maybe not the jacks. Could probably check that back to rep to trap them and blocks the best bluff catchers. Have some strong hands in my check back range. I don't really have a 6-7 for a straight. Actually, no, in the cutoff I would have 6-7 as well. I'd have hands like 9-10 and then some various 7x and 6x type hands for gut shots. Probably hands like ace, king, queen, 7 or 6 would be bets. I'll go ahead and check back the nines, though. Lower right-hand table, min raise from the button. I will defend with queen 10 offsuit from the big blind. He checks back. Go ahead and probe the turn small. River, he checks to me again. I'm just going to go ahead and try to get some value against an 8x ace-high type hand. I guess you could check this back, but I think trying to get some thin value is a little bit better. It's really not even all that thin. Going to kind of put in a... I don't really know that he calls with a whole lot worse. And he got a lot of ace-x. I'm just going to try to check this one down. Pocket kings. Doubt I'm getting that to fold low either for another bet. Upper right-hand table, got a 2.5x open from the cutoff, can defend from the big blind with my suited connectors and 1 and 2 gappers, like 8-5 suited. Check range on the flop, mostly check folding a board like this that really just doesn't interact with my hand all that much at all. Could check raise my better 7x type hands. I could have hands like 8-9 of diamonds, 8-9 of clubs, to be flop check raises. He checks back the flop. I'm going to start jabbing at that turn small and just trying to turn my hand into a bluff. Following through on the river, not letting my 8 high just surrender at any point in time, as it sure can't win that way. I don't really call in position too much, so I'm just going to go ahead and fold this one, but it's a little bit close because the sizing's pretty small and I do have the button with the kind of hand. If I had some very clear fish behind me, this guy I have him tagged, but I'm not really sure why. He doesn't seem to be all that fishy based on his stats. I think I'll just go ahead and fold. Upper left-hand table, got a min raise from the button. I will go ahead and defend even with the overcaller with a hand like 10-9. Price is so good and I'm closing the action. I will, however, fold with no equity on that flop when there's a bet in the call multi-way. Upper right-hand table, going to open ace-king from the cutoff using the 28% range. Small blind and big blind both call, so I will not be range betting multi-way, but also not range checking because I'm in position. It's a ball of them. Hand like ace-king on jack 9-3 should just be a check back, though. Going to jab at this pot small, given that we're multi-way if it checks to me, or continue if it doesn't. Upper left-hand table, going to open fours from the cutoff using the 28% range. Get bet into. Just going to go ahead and continue for a call with my naked ace of clubs flush draw. And against both of those players checking, just going to go ahead and bluff for pot on this four straight run out. I've also got that nice blocker for the nut flush. Got a decent chance of getting this through. Let's see here. Going to go ahead and squeeze from the big blind with eights against that button open for 2.5x and the small blind overcall. Squeeze about 14% there. Upper left-hand table, 2.5x open under the gun. I will go ahead and 3-bet from middle position with Queen Jack suited, using about an 8% range. Upper left-hand table, we're going to go ahead and range bet that short stack small on King 5, the small short stack on King 5-3. Range betting small against the stack that's small. He check raises me and doesn't even check raise all in. That's even scarier than if he does just check raise me all in. And I don't have a king or better, so I'm just going to fold to him, at least until I have some reason to know differently. My squeeze doesn't get through. I get 4-bet, and I'm going to probably have to go ahead and fold my 8s. Think about that for a minute, but... Now, 8s are actually the kind of hand that can call against a 4-bet to some extent in this formation. But given that it was a squeeze spot, the pot's a bit bloated, I'm going to be a little bit tighter, so just less play post-flop. I'm going to go ahead and be a nit and lay him down. For right-hand or left-hand table, I'm going to open King 6 suited from middle position using 21% range. Got fishy player behind me, a real small open from a guy playing slightly less than full under the gun, potential fish as well. I'm going to call on the button with 7s. I don't call the button very often, playing mostly 3-bet or fold, but I guess I can justify trying to sneak in with a hand like 7s with a chance to play against a guy who's a bit shorter, potentially a fish, and then you've got another short stack guy in the blinds behind me. Makes sense to do it to some extent here. I'm going to go ahead and check range on the upper left-hand table. Got top and bottom pair on the King 9-6 board. He goes ahead and blasts for pot. I mean, I could just check raise them all in here, but I just want to give him a chance to continue barreling. So I'm just going to check call and then check him again. Snap off with my King 6. He's got Jack 10. Turns a 2-pair, but not as good as I have. Lower left-hand table, I flop top set. I'm going to go ahead and stab for half pot on that 7-6-4 two-tone board. Lower right-hand table, got a recreational player limps the cutoff. I'm going to go ahead and isolate from the button with pocket kings using something like my cutoff range, about 28%. The limper called and the big blind also called before him. I'm going to go ahead and not range bet, but continuation bet my overpair here on 9-7-5. I'm going to use a small size because we're multi-way. Really don't want to get check raised by this guy. I don't think he's going to be check raised bluffing me too much. Likely rec player goes and check calls. I mean, he could have some 5x in his range, but he can also have all kinds of draws or whatnot. Oh, I got check raised over there with the 7s, and I've also got a 3-bet spot up here in the upper left-hand table with ace-jack against the button open. I'll flat the check raise with the 7s. I'm going to go ahead and bet about 2/3. A little bit bigger than that, but about 85. Got called into the 3-bet on the upper left-hand table. I'm going to go ahead and range bet small on the 9-7-3 two-tone board. He calls the range bet. Turn is a 5. I don't have too much going for me here. I'm just going to go ahead and check the ace-jack. River is that spade. Because they think he's a fish, I don't know. Maybe it's a little too thin. Maybe I should check this back without actually blocking much of blocking the flush draw. It's pretty close. I'm going to check this one back It wasn't getting called anyway. I'll get another barrel here. I mean, that 10 does complete the open-ended straight draw, but I'm just going to go ahead and flat that and plan to get it in the river. I'm going to go ahead and turn my ace-jack into a bluff on the upper left-hand table. I'm going to isolate the rec again, this time with king-9 suited in the lower right-hand table. Makes a good call down, which he should be making there, but I think my bluff is fine. And we'll snap off with the 7s. Ran into the open-ended straight draw. That's the way it goes sometimes, but I'm fine with my play. Even though I got myself stacked. For left-hand table, going to open king-jack from middle position, or cutoff using a 28% range. Only got 4 or 5 blinds. Going to just ship it in with 8-7 suited here after I got myself stacked last go-round. Get a min raise from the button on the upper left-hand table. Going to go ahead and defend for a call with king-7 suited. He checks back the flop. Turn is the 10, giving me an open-ender and bottom pair. Going to go ahead and jab at that turn small. And I probably just need to turn this into a bluff. Try to get him to fold something like a Jack X, a 10X type hand. Don't give him a chance to bluff me up with busted hearts. I really can't bluff catch this hand or even try to show it down. There is some value in turning that into a follow-through bluff. I'm going to 3-bet the small blind with queens against the cutoff open over here. I'm going to open 7s under the gun on the lower right-hand table. Going to open ace-10 on the button on the upper left-hand table using a 44% range. We'll fold 7s against the in-position 3-bet here. I'm really trying to target this short stack behind me and just not getting a good chance to do it. Will not be range betting multi-way on the upper left-hand table, so I'll check back my ace-10, though I will start stabbing the turn if they give me the chance. Get a 3x open blind on blind on the upper right-hand table. Defend for a call. You could 3-bet it some, but I like to call with the ace-4. Everyone checks to me twice. Upper left-hand table, going to go ahead and start betting small, planning to follow through on the river with the ace-10 for the most part. I will float that small bet on the blind blind on the upper right-hand table in position with the gut shot and the overcard. Now, I've got pretty good removal to Jack X, to Jack 10 and Ace 10. I don't know that I need to be overbetting here, though. So, my good Jack X and my sets are pretty much having all bet the flop. I don't really have a ton of real strong value here. It's the second barrel. I'll just fold the Ace 4 with the flush closer coming out. I'm going to 3-bet the button open here with my Ace King against that, a little bit small sizing. Three betting about 14, 15% here too. Against the 4-bet, just going to go ahead and ship my ace-king in. Be shipping in queens, kings, queens, ace-king, maybe ace-5 suited is a bluff as well. Trap him with aces. He instantly folds, so finally get to play back at a 4-bet. Have been seeing a lot of that this session from me. Upper right-hand table, going to open queen 7 suited from the button, using a 44% range. Lower right-hand table, going to open ace-8 from the button, again using a 44% range. Lower left-hand table, blind down blind, got queen deuce suited. Going to go ahead and raise all my suited queens, part of a 45% raise first in range. Upper left-hand table, going to open king 10 from middle position using a 21% range. Going to range check that blind battle on the flop, lower left-hand table. He checks back the flop. Turn is a jack to go with the 10-10-4 rainbow flop. Going to go ahead and start jabbing at that turn small. Not going to range bet the lower right-hand table. I'm going to follow through, continue bluffing with my queen high here. Somewhat close, actually, but I think it's probably better to bluff that than to give it up or try to show it down. Although I can't even fold out king high, so maybe it's a little questionable. Get bet into about 2/3 when I've got 8 and 8 on the 6-6-6-8 board. Going to go ahead and plan to catch that, and probably bluff catch the river as well. Shouldn't have too many overpairs for better full houses, so it's really going to be kind of 6x or nothing. Guess he could have some 8x in his range too. I mean, most of his pocket pairs, like 9s or better, should have been 3-bet. Let me see here. Small overbet, slightly overbluffed. Been aggressive so far. I'm pretty sure this is just a call. Yep. Going to go ahead and open queen 10 from the cutoff on the lower left-hand table, using a 28% range. Upper left-hand table, going to open deuces on the button using the 44% range. Get a 3-bet from the big blind there. Pretty reasonable size, about 4.5x, a little more than 4x. I think that's same size I would use in that situation, actually. So it's certainly pretty reasonable by my definition. That said, in this pretty loose formation, I can defend my pocket pairs against that 3-bet. So I will come along for a call with the deuces. Great flop for him, the 6-3 deuce two-tone board. He checks to me, so I'm going to go ahead and stab for half pot. I won't stab range here. Not quite sure how wide I want to stab, but I definitely do want to be value betting my sets. And he just goes and check jams, which makes my life real easy as I call off with my deuces, and he check jams ace-king. Oh, he hit the king. Still doesn't do him any good, though. I was thinking and about to say that sizing sometimes lets hands like ace-king, ace-queen check call the flop. Sometimes players play those hands like that, and I'm quite happy with those hands coming along because if they happen to hit their pair, all they've done is hang themselves against my set. None of that really got a chance to manifest, though, as he just blindly monkey jammed ace-king high on that board pre-flop and gave me a chance to call off and pick up a free buy-in with my set with him drawing, drawing dead more or less. I guess drawing to a runner chop for a straight to run out in the board. I think it's the only way he could have won that hand. And spazzy play is saving my session and giving me some profit here, because otherwise it's not going that well. But I like this guy's style. We're opening the king-queen on the cutoff in the lower left-hand table. I will go ahead and range bet against the big blind after his check on the 10-10-7 two-tone board. Some cards I could barrel. I don't know. The spade, you could reasonably barrel this, but I think I'd rather keep the pot a bit smaller on the 4-flush paired board where I hold the king and not the ace. I think I'll check this one back. And I can value bet, bluff catch, or maybe even value raise for that particular card. He checks, so it's just going to be a very standard, straightforward 70%-ish value bet. He check raises, and he check raises so small. I don't really think this hand is good, but I've got to call 38 into 137. Got to be good, you know, less than a quarter of the time. So I've got no choice but to call off, but just don't think it's really going to be good there that much with flushes and trips out there too. Lower right-hand table, got a blind situation. Blind down blind, going to defend for a call against the 3x open with King 7 suited. Get bet into for half pot. I've got an overcard and some backdoor straights. I don't know. I've been a little rusty with these blind situations. I'm getting smacked around in them, so I'm going to go ahead and not float here, even though it's a little too tight. Just till I get back up to speed a bit more, and I'm a bit more sure of how I want to play some of those more marginal ones on later streets. So be a bit tighter on earlier streets instead. Upper left-hand table, going to open Queen 9 suited on the button using a 44% range. Upper left-hand table, under the gun, opens 2.5x. I will 3-bet from the cutoff with my ace-5 suited. 3-betting about 8% there. 9s plus, ace-queen plus, king-queen, most suited broadways, a couple suited wheel aces. Got a king 7-5, two-tone board. Going to go ahead and range bet small. Now he check raises out of position. I don't know. I block sets of 5s or 7-5 if he'd have something like that. He really shouldn't have ace-king or kings. No, he could be check raising king-queen for value. It's a little bit suspicious, but I just don't want to float here and not quite sure how to approach this, especially without a better kind of draw or backdoor type draws. But I do having that blocker with that 5 there, you know, blocking possible flop sets is some reason to float. I'm just not sure if I have to turn this hand into a bluff later when he checks or not. So I'm going to go ahead and let it go. Lower right-hand table, going to open ace-queen for middle position using a 21% range. It what appears to be a recreational player goes and puts in a pretty large 3-bet. Almost 4x, so a little over 3.5x. This is a primo bluff type hand here, so I am going to go ahead and use this as my 4-bet bluff. Be doing this with queens plus ace king to stack off, then ace queen offsuit is my Bet bluffer with good removal. He goes ahead and flats. I get a 10-10-8 two-tone board. Going to go ahead and range bet small. Upper right-hand table, we had a 2.5x open from the button. I'm in the big blind with 7-4 suited, and it's pretty close, but on the cusp, but I can go ahead and defend with that for a call. Check range to the in-position player. The 3-better calls the 4-bet, then calls the flop range bet. Going to go ahead and slow down on the turn. Can also be trapping with like my aces here in this spot. Or maybe even kings to some extent. That could go either way. Queens probably just have to get the money in. When he goes and blasts like that, I'm just going to go ahead and fold the weakest hand in my range, my ace-queen offsuit. His sizing tells me he's almost certainly a recreational player, too. Going to go ahead and re-raise against that isolation raise here with the pocket tens. Probably do this with about 8%. I've got that spazzy player up here that did the ace-king play a few orbits back. Going to 3-bet him from the small blind with my pocket tens also. I got called by the isolating player on the lower right-hand table. We're going to go ahead and range bet. Actually, I could probably range check on that 9-8-7 board, but tens is not a bad hand to bet either. 5, I should probably get him slowing down. I'm going to go ahead and check there. I should certainly be slowing down on that card as well. Now he goes and he bets 70. I think I just want to check call it. Check to the river. See if he tries to fold me off a chop, which we do not in fact have, because we've got the 6-card straight when the board plays the 5-card straight. We'll get that in. Upper left-hand table, going to go ahead and open ace-deuce suited from the button using the 44% range. We'll range bet the aggressive spazzy player small on the ace-6-3 two-tone board. Turn 7 of hearts. I think I want to use a half pot size on this flush closing turn, and I want to bet a much wider range for value, including my weak aces with no heart here that need a bit of equity denial from random heart hands or get some value. Plan to mostly check back the river. Lower right-hand table, 3x open from the button. I'm in the big blind with king-queen. I can go ahead and 3-bet that guy there. He's been a little on the fishy side, it seems. Actually, well, it might just be because he's been calling from the big blind a lot and the small blind a lot. I'm not going to give too much credence to all that. Just going to sort of play a standard 3-bet range there, about 15%, including king-queen offsuit. I am going to shut down the session here when the blinds come around and take a little break, at least for a while, if not until tomorrow. Thank you for joining me in the meantime. Lower right-hand table, going to open 5s from the button using a 44% range. I'm going to range bet that recreational small blind caller on the ace-3-3 rainbow board. Lower left-hand table, going to open queen-jack from the button using a 44% range. Lower right-hand table, going to open king-10 from the cutoff using a 28% range. Lower left-hand table, going to range bet small on that 10-8-4 rainbow board after the big blind checks. He comes along. Turn is the 5 of hearts. I do have 2 overcards and a gut shot. I guess hands like Jack-9 or 9-7 are open-enders. I don't need to bet all my gut shots when I've got a bunch of open-enders and some flush draws as well. And given that I don't have flush blockers, I think I'd start to prioritize how I bet my gut shots with that. And since I don't have them, I will check back. And I'll look to turn this hand into some kind of bluff here on the river, though. Yeah. Go ahead and put in the bluff raise. With King, Queen, and lower right-hand table, I'll just fold against the 3-bet. I could have some 6x here that check back the turn for sure, so it's not complete nonsense. I got away with one. What do you know? Fold the 3-deuce suited under the gun. That is the last hand here as I'm sitting out, so I'll wrap up the video now. Thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed. Till next time, this is Charlie Murphy signing off.